Gents, get your sweatpants, ladies, get your diapers. I'm Falcon Anime, and this is my top 10 most ecchi animes. Before we get started, let's answer that big question for those of you who don't know. What is ecchi anime? In a brief definition, ecchi anime is anime that is usually related to what most term as fan service. It's anime that may be sexually provocative, but only to the extent that it can still be viewed by the general population. But on that note, I wouldn't recommend watching this in your local coffee shop, or anywhere in public to say the least. Without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at my number 10, Shinmai Maou no Testament. In this anime, it follows this guy, our main protagonist, Basara Toho, who coincidentally gains two new stepsisters, Mio and Maria. What makes the situation special is that Basara is part of the hero clan, and his new sisters are, demons. Sworn enemies, they decide to protect each other, and being ecchi, things get pretty steamy. I don't think this anime is anything special, but it is worth a watch if you're in for the fan service. Let's go ahead and move on to my number 9, High School of the Dead. If you haven't figured it out, High School of the Dead is about zombies and high school students, hence the name.
High School of the Dead.
If this doesn't speak ecchi to you, it should. Why, you might ask? Well, when you have zombies, high school girls, and our main character here, Takashi Komodo, what better setting do you need to insert that fan service? Our main character here in ecchi fashion goes around and saving his, for some overlooked reason, female-only classmates. I highly recommend watching High School of the Dead not only for its etchiness, but because the plot was actually pretty good. Coming up at number 8, we have To Love Ru. This anime, like many other animes, follows our main protagonist, Yuki Rito. In your average cliche fashion, Yuki Rito shies away at anything close to etchiness. Of course, being an anime cliche, the more shy you are, the more fan service is needed. In this story, our main character is greeted by a princess alien named Lala. For some political reasons, she decides to marry Yuki Rito, and as a result, his many other female relationships begin. With all our cliches, what makes this anime different from the others? It's a good question, and all I can really say is that it differs because it's an anime that chooses to pursue the true harem route. At number 7, we have Chobits. What do you do when you suddenly come across an android? Well, you take it home, of course. When you're a poor college student like our protagonist, Hideki Motosua, you take what you can get, and thus, you have the story of Chobits. Our main protagonist here finds an android out on the streets named Chi. For some reason, he decides to take the robot home to teach it how to function. When you have a single guy and a robot girl living together, things can get pretty ecchi.
Bruh.
Well, of course, when the two are together, love ensues. And for all those android human lovers, you might want to give Chobits a shot. At number 6, we have Mayo Chiki. I know that Mayo Chiki isn't the most ecchi anime around, but for some reason, I really like this anime. Our story here revolves around our main protagonist, Kinjiro Sakamachi. Kinjiro here has a weird situation. His family members are part of a female-only wrestling group. And of course, being our main character, he's the punching bag to our family's wrestling group. As a result, he develops a phobia towards women. And this is where our story begins when Kinjiro meets a girl where his phobia doesn't kick in. The girl that he doesn't have a reaction to also is afraid of men. Now, I'm no expert, but what better way is there to cure their phobias than with fan service? Sure, that makes sense. Let's get the guy that's afraid of girls and the girl that's afraid of guys and put them together. And whatever etchiness ensues, oh well, more fan service for us. Now I know this anime isn't complete and I doubt it'll ever be, but I still recommend Mayo Chiki. Moving on to our number 5, we have Prison School. Yes, Prison School. I don't think there's an anime around that is more hilariously blatantly ecchi than Prison School. The plot of this anime begins when an all-girls school becomes co-ed, accepting 5 male students. Being overly cautious, the male students are monitored and kept in a jail-type setting. Hence, we have a literal prison school. Of course, normal reaction would be just to say hi and, get to know the male students. But instead, let's go ahead and lock them up, torture them, and maybe give them a little fan service while we're at it. This anime to its core in an ecchi fashion is hilarious. I do recommend giving it a shot, but for some of you, it may lose its touch near the end of the anime. At number 4, we have Kill la Kill. If you don't know what Kill la Kill is by now, you should. Kill la Kill in itself is a special ecchi case. One can say it's an ecchi, but also in a weird fan service sense. What I mean by this is that the anime plot revolves around a world where clothing is used as a weapon. If you haven't figured it out yet, the etchiness here can get kinda weird, in a sense where it's not forcibly added as fan service, but more as a plot because of the mechanism of how the clothing works. Our story here follows our main protagonist Ruko Matui and her attempt at revenge for the death of her father. In this world, like many other worlds, the less armor they wear, the stronger they are. Kill la Kill is a great example of an ecchi anime that isn't about the fan service as much as it should be. As you progress through the story, you realize the world and the etchiness is kind of one in one. Nobody is spared from the etchiness. It has one of the best recaps episode ever, and its etchiness caters to everyone of all genders. I would like to point out that the cosplayer fanbase for this anime got really ecchi. At number 3 we have Highschool DxD. I know some of you saw this coming from a mile away, and for me, if someone said to name an ecchi anime off the top of my head, Highschool DxD would be first to come up. For those of you who don't know, this anime is basically the pinnacle of what ecchi anime is. But don't get me wrong, this anime isn't really special, but it has a reason why it's so popular and widely known. The story follows Issei Hyodo, who's your conventional high school perv. He joins a club to pick up girls, and it turns out that the club is a part of a battle between demons and angels. Now you might be wondering, why is Falcon Anime suggesting an unspecial anime? Well, that's the point why the anime is so popular. Highschool DxD isn't anything different from other ecchi harem anime, but that's what its strong points are. It takes the conventional ecchi harem aspects of anime and does nothing different but nothing wrong. You could say that this anime is a literal fan service. I suggest giving this anime a shot if you're up for some fantasy etchiness. Moving on to my number 2, No Game No Life. Now I know some of you might not be expecting it, but No Game No Life is actually a really good ecchi anime. If you have not watched this anime yet, go watch it now. If you like smart strategic anime, go watch it now. If you are a fan of ecchi and fan service,
go watch it now.
What I'm trying to basically say is that if you haven't watched No Game No Life, go watch this anime after my video now. The plot of No Game No Life revolves around 2 characters named Sora and Shiro. Our characters here get launched into another world where the outcomes of playing games determine the laws of the world. It just so happens that our shut-in protagonists are supposedly the best in the world at gaming, so things get pretty overpowered. Even though the fan service isn't the main focus of this anime, they tend to throw a lot of etchiness our way. This anime is great and does have some different aesthetics to their art. Definitely go watch this anime now after my video. Oh, and don't expect much from the movie, it has nothing to do with the main characters. Now before we move on to our number 1, I want to give a shout out to our honorable mentions. For our first honorable mention, we have Grand Blue. When you hear the title Grand Blue, you might be thinking that this anime is about the ocean. Well, it is. Only about 10%, and the rest of it is about 90% of the guys taking off their clothes. If you think this anime is yaoi, it's not. It just uses the guys taking off their clothes as a point of laughter. This anime isn't really story driven, but its main focus is on comedy. If you're down for a good laugh, go ahead and give Grand Blue a shot. For our second honorable mention, we have Monster Musume. As an honorable mention, this anime takes etchiness to a different level. It doesn't take etchiness on the human level, but instead it's on the monster level. Our main character here is trying to mend relationships between monsters and humans. As a result, he starts taking them into his home to take care of them. Being an ecchi anime about monsters, it leaves a lot of room for imagination. For our last honorable mention, we have Ero Manga Sensei. This anime is about a brother who writes eroge manga and finds out that his stepsister is the one who draws for him. Of course, as secrets unfold, etchiness ensues, and now we have the story of Ero Manga Sensei. Moving back to our list, last but not least, at number 1 we have Shokugeki No Souma. Now, do you like food? Sure, who doesn't? How about fan service for everyone? Yeah? Well, this anime is the perfect anime for you. Shokugeki No Souma is an anime that I would define as how ecchi anime can be done right. Our anime here follows a protagonist named Yukihira Soma. In this plot, he is a diner chef taking on some of the best chefs in the world through various cooking challenges. As the anime goes on, they use etchiness to explain the flavors of the food they cook. The more flavorful and delicious the food is, the more ecchi our characters get while eating it. Nobody is spared from the etchiness in this anime. Like all living things, everyone eats, and therefore in this show, Shokugeki no Souma, if it tastes good, your etchiness will shine. Alright guys, thanks for watching my top 10 most ecchi animes. Now I know they've been away for quite a while, but I hope to be making more videos in the near future. So if you haven't already, to get updates on my future videos, go ahead and give my channel a subscribe. And if you like this video, give it a like. If not, tell me why down in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Gents, hide your sausages. Ladies, cover your tacos. This is my Oh, you're still here. Well, if you're gonna have time to stick around, go ahead and check out my other videos over here. Right here. Here.